Today we are reading dun, 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 Many Elephants. If you wish to know the truth, hold no opinions. Long ago, the Buddha and his followers lived in a park near a city, a place called Jetavana. In a peaceful grove of many trees, many wandering holy men also lived there. Some of the men believed that they alone understood life's secrets. Other holy men had beliefs about life that were just the opposite. And so the groups argued day and night. This alone is true. What you think is a flat-out lie, they shouted. How can you be so dense? Another would respond. How could anyone believe the things you do? Finally, one morning, after yet another quarrel broke out, a group approached the Buddha and told him about the continuous bickering. When the Buddha heard their story, he gathered all the groups around and told this parable. Once upon a time, in this very city, the king had a theory he wanted to test. Without revealing his secret, the king ordered his attendants to bring together all the men in the city who had been blind from birth. Right away, Your Majesty, they said, and rushed off to do the king's bidding. It was a challenging task to find every last man in the city, but finally the servants accomplished it. Your Majesty, the head servant announced, all the men in our city, blind from the time of their birth, are now assembled and waiting for you within the palace courtyard. Very well done, praised the king. And knowing that these men had never seen nor touched an elephant, the king then requested that his gentlest elephant be led to the middle of the courtyard. The great elephant was brought out and stood calmly before them. The king had the men form a great circle around her. The king had the men form a great circle around her. Now all of you, ordered the king, slowly reach forward and feel what an elephant is like. Too much. Some of the blind men touched only the animal's face, while others felt the elephant's giant ears. Some of the men felt the hard tusks, some touched only the trunk, and some only the belly. Many of the men felt just the leg, and a few just the tail. And to each group, the king and his attendants proclaimed the same thing. This is what an elephant is like. After a while, the king stopped the men and asked, have you all felt the elephant? Are each of you very sure what an elephant is like now? Yes, we certainly are, they shouted. So the king had the elephant led away. Then he asked, tell me, each of you, what exactly is an elephant like? The blind man, who had felt the animal's head, said, oh, Your Majesty. The blind man, who had felt the animal's head, said, oh, Your Majesty, an elephant is like a huge water pot. Whereas the man who had touched the ears said, Your Majesty, an elephant feels just like a royal fan. Your Majesty, an elephant is like a strong plow, said one who had felt the tusks. And the blind man, who had felt only the belly, recalled, an elephant is like a grain of bin full of wheat. The ones who had felt the elephant's tail said, well, actually, Your Majesty, an elephant is much like a giant snake. But when all the men heard the different responses, they thought surely the others were lying to their king. Right away, an argument broke out among them, and of course, none believed any of the others. In no time at all, they resorted to shouts and punches. An elephant feels like a water pot. It does not. It's like a great plow. I felt it with my own hands. It's not anything like a plow. It's exactly like a giant fan. Two of us thought so. An elephant is nothing like what you said. And the king, concluded the Buddha, was delighted with his experiment. It is precisely like this, O brothers, that you also find so many things to argue about.